Hi there. My name's Janice. This is my first podcast. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I have been working myself towards this for at least 3 months now. Things you might want to know about me. I am much older than I look. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I have a very creative mindset, but I am not a creator as the world knows creators to be right now. But a lot of creators can take from what I create, envision, and bring it to life. So perhaps that makes me like an assistant creator, except not assistant in the traditional working sense. I am a terrible musician if we are talking from the commercial perspective, but I have over the years written some incredible lyrics. I have a 12 string. Her name is 12E. We've taken some lessons, but we've accepted that she has her own voice, and no matter how many lessons we take, her sound is unique and impossible to copy. I have spent almost a decade teaching myself how to sing and teaching myself how to bring 12E and me together in simpatico. And in this past year, we have found a spot of beauty. So at some point, that will probably work its way into here as well. I am definitely a person of intuition. I'm not a witch, but I have an ability that even for me is mind-blowing. I am very seldom wrong, which is unfortunate. Thankfully, people don't always choose to fulfill what it is that I'm right about, and sometimes that's for the betterment of society that they do that, and sometimes it's at a loss for them. But I don't tell people who to be, and I don't push people to be who they don't want to be, even if I instinctually know that they are much better than who they are. And the same applies to me. I don't like to do things sometimes the way people tell me to do things. Sometimes I will, but not before I rebel against it completely. I'm a person who's been living on this land for her whole life. I am a North American, and my people originated from Europe, to my knowledge. I work for a living, and I don't work in a corporate world. I'm not a professional. I work for just above minimum wage and have for most of my life. So I'm just a real person who just has an intellect and a natural ability. But I can't plan things out. So because I can't plan things out, it's hard to market yourself from that perspective because you have to find people who are willing to take random that something will or won't happen. Yet I can't stop doing what I do because it's like breathing air. I just do it. So this is just one more avenue for me to bring to life my gift. If I could make a little bit of money doing it, honestly, that would be amazing. If I could commit to it full time and be able to make enough money to support myself, that would be amazing. And what that would mean is that every person who's looking for something in their life, number one, they would learn that yes, you too can do it, but it would also allow people access to ideas that might help them become who they want to be, who they are, or allow them to perhaps create an economic stream that would not only look after themselves, but perhaps create revenue for other people. I don't have a community. I have been a lone individual for a very long time for many personal reasons. I do let people in, but it is on a short leash. And unfortunately, what I tend to find is the more I let that leash out, the more people do prove to me that I've made the wrong choice. I try not to let that affect my life and my life choices. But in this world now that is in existence, it's harder and harder. So I'm trying. So if you want to befriend somebody through this medium, I'm down with that. And I'll have you know that I am all for independent opinion. I am all for personal thought. I encourage it. I ask that you maintain a level of dignity and decorum because I don't believe in finger pointing. I try not to blame. I try not to let my emotions dictate how I react. Some days I am very successful at it, much to the chagrin and disappointment of many, and some days I fail miserably, much to the delight and excitement of many. If though I feel that what you have put out there is for the purposes of poking bears, causing hatred, indoctrination, political propaganda, at the expense of our society, I will block you and I won't think twice about it. I may out you to people, I may not. It will depend on the incident in question. So just keep that in mind. That's your disclaimer. I'm a very say it like it is, and I do follow through on my actions. Okay? I'm a highly intellectual individual. I've been told on many occasions. That my brain operates in a different way. I am not ADHD, but I do require multiple avenues of stimulation. I am not ever the same person twice. I may come back to a certain character, if you will, on more than one occasion, but every day, every experience, every thought that I have changes me. Sometimes it is beyond measure. Some days it's slight. Some days you may notice it. Some days you may not. Take for existence this past 2 weeks. My entire life went through an incredible upheaval. And the person that I was, the second before that upheaval hit, was dead. Instantly gone. And the people who have been gracious enough to follow me and watch my creation and my work have been trying with their whole heart, and I choose to believe from a good place, to help me remember who that girl is, because she got to a place that they really actually were starting to like. But dead is dead. So this is me in a new way. And if we're lucky, some of who she was will filter back in, but in a way that is new to who I am discovering right now. I have an incredible talent for what we will call random party tricks, which involves random pulls from everything from cards to books to anything really. Whatever I look at and get a pull for and be like, ooh, right? So that's always enjoyable. It's a little creepy because it generally lines up with exactly what's happening in the world right now, or I'm ahead of the game and the world will do it. So we'll be doing some of those on here because I just find those fun. I have a highly wisdom-esque way of speaking. I can take almost anything that I'm working on or working with and apply wisdom to it on a level that says, we're here at this time in the world, and perhaps some things are in fact as clear and as cut as they are. And I argue that once we hit that point where things have hit the end, it's time to move on to something new. Not everybody would agree with that. And I always welcome anybody who can bring something to the table to those moments that I have of finality. Anything that is in fact new. And it has to be new, not a new thought of an old argument, unless that new thought from that old argument doesn't still land to the conclusion of finality. So yeah, this isn't going to be like any other podcast. I don't know how it grows. I don't know how we speak. I don't know how we get from point A to point B. I am not scripted. So some days it's going to be blah, 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 that comes out of my mouth, and it will just be garbage. And some days the thoughts will connect and we will just lay it out. If we talk politics, because I do have a political side to me, I will make sure you know that right off the hop, that that's what's going to happen. So you have the foretelling to be able to just turn it off and not listen. If you are not into that, or you don't believe that that's an area that you would like to divulge into. I don't believe in sides. I understand there are sides. I am one of the detested few in the political world because I don't belong to one grouping. I am what's referred to as a swing voter, and I base the things that I checkmark at the elections based on what I believe is best for our country in the moment. That does not mean that I change my philosophical or my personal view about my and your interaction responsibility within our society. And although having those types of thoughts may get me labeled as a liberal or a conservative, I choose to describe it as just being a human, based on every situation, whether or not the same reaction, the same thought, the same approach, the same conclusion applies every single time, is not a theory I buy into. I believe in flexibility based on the day, based on the education at hand, and I believe that you can change what you believe if the circumstances change, or if the amount of education that you had versus the amount of education that you now have either present an opposite or have caused you to see things from a different perspective, therefore changing how you feel about that situation. So basically, I'm flexible. And that also upsets people. But I am not looking for an absolute rule. I am looking and do look and do live for the flexibility of life experience based on interaction of any sort. So yes, that is who I am. That is what we are hoping. I keep things real, so right now you can hear there's some kind of kerfuffling going on in my neighborhood. I don't, at best, remove the things that are real, because in this day and age, especially on the internet, it is very easy for people to manipulate everything. I will play with internet assistance in my artwork to see what it could look like if you had the ability to just manipulate it. But everything you see here, everything on the wall, everything on my table, I somehow made those. And I'm proud of the fact that I made those. I have no background in it, so it's very cool to think that that came out of me. When I put those through programs, they do work really, really well to create some really outlandish, outstanding, and unexpected creations. And I know that deep down inside, I am not somebody who would have the skill to ever be able to create that without the computer. So for me, it's a different type of extension. But I don't sit down and type in code to create the same image that I've gotten from the hours that I spent creating these. That doesn't make me better, and it doesn't make somebody who makes AI art less talented. It takes a different skill set and a different mental creativity to bring AI art to life. I am not opposed to AI art. I am opposed to individuals who have terrible agendas utilizing AI art to push forward those terrible agendas. I also think that we skipped a step, which of course perhaps is what causes some of the discomfort and the difficulty people are having with finding comfort within the AI art world. And the skip that was stepped is the step that I believe I'm taking. And what step is that? The step that says, from here to the computer into a program to see what that makes, keeps one aware of the tangibility of the creation. And because there is a tangibility to the creation, I'd like to believe that there is also a connection to how you are responsible for that creation and how it is received within the world, which is also something the art world is at odds at times with me about, because some people feel the artist should not be held responsible for how people react to their art. And maybe in a time where people weren't as polarized as they are now, that argument was in fact a great argument to make. But what are your thoughts on that? Okay, so we're going to round this out. 25 minutes for our first one seems good. You know who I am. You kind of have an idea of what and where we're going with this. So let's do a random card pull of toasting for all occasions. Oh, excuse my nose is itchy. All right, anniversaries. Now, it says still married. An anniversary marks time that has passed. We are celebrating in the present with the best wishes for the future. Past, present, future. Best of times. And I think we can all agree that although that may be for an anniversary, I think with a slight changing of the words, it could apply to right now. So yes, I wish everybody here the best of times. Cheers. And I hope you all have an amazing day. Until we do this again, bye.